Hey everyone, it's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and in today's video we're going to talk about gaming audio picks, basically IEMs, headphones, headsets for all platforms, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and if you want to use it for others, so be it. This is for first-person shooter stuff, primarily, basically FPS games, hence the title. So you can play any game with any piece of equipment. You don't have to have one of these to be good at a first-person shooter game. However, if you're looking for tips or general guidance at what I think are better values in each prospective price point, that's the goal of this video, just to help give you an idea of what to shop for and what I think is worth it in each price range. None of this is a matter of fact, and just because your model or brand was not mentioned doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad choice. Again, I'm trying to condense it and just give you some good ones to focus in on. Now, this video wasn't sponsored by anybody. There's no special kickbacks or anything like that. I haven't told any of these companies I'm making this video. In fact, I've purchased over half the stuff I'm about to show you. I will have generic Amazon affiliate links in the description below. One, to make it easier to shop for because I'm going to go through this kind of quick, but also it supports the channel. It's a generic link. I don't have special kickbacks, and you are more than welcome to purchase it however you want. If you do find this content helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe because I'd love to see it the next video. I am growing the channel. I've been really excited to see the positive comments and how many people the channel's helped. So thank you so much for the kind words. With that being said, let's kick it off. Now, kicking off the budget category of under $30, we're going to first start with IEMs. And that's mainly because they seriously punch above their weight. If you're looking for the ultimate bang for your buck and you don't care about form factor or a traditional headset, IEMs are typically the way to go. Now, I picked the Truth Air OLED to show you, and I have them in the box here, for a couple reasons. One, they are $19, and they sound better than a lot of $200 gaming headsets. It's that good. Now, for $20, it has an inline mic. Yes, for $1 more, there's a microphone on the cord. So if you need chat, it's not like buying IEMs forces you to ditch that. So under 20, these are excellent for music, they're great for movies, and of course the purpose of this video is they are still great for gaming. This little budget IEM to me is actually one of my favorites for the money of any audio product, period. They're very lightweight, they're very comfortable, they sound great, they're easy to drive. Now, this is a fairly safe tune. They're not super energetic, which is why they work so well for music as well. If you like a little bit more brightness in the upper mid-range or treble region, then you have the Sound Note Zero, which is $21 or $24, again, with an inline microphone. So more detail, if you're the type of person who likes to turn up the treble a little bit, just go with the Sound Note Zero. If you don't like things too bright or possibly fatiguing, the OLED is going to get you there, hola. And they're so easy to drive, you can plug them into a gaming controller, so PlayStation and Xbox users can benefit from it. If you're on PC, you can plug it in your PC if you have a combo port. Otherwise, just get like a $4 adapter on Amazon to break off the cable if you want to use the microphone as well. Hopefully on PC you have a better mic, but that gets you going at a very competitive level for a very cheap price. Next on one of my must-have picks is the Koss KSC75. This is seriously like one of those things where regardless if you have other audio products, I feel like everyone should own a pair of these, or even the 40s. But for $20, these things are so comfortable. Look at that. All I have to do is hook them on my ear. They have a pretty wide soundstage because they're on ear. They sound really open. The mid-range is absolutely incredible. There's no deep bass. For FPS games, that's not necessary, but there's no sound isolation with these. So if you have a really loud fan or you play in a noisy environment, these are not for you. But if your environment's quiet and you just want something comfortable, you just hook them on and they sound absolutely incredible. I love these things. And again, this is the drop version, the mass drop KSC75X, which is $24, but it has the microphone. I usually pick ones with mic if possible, just because I like that as a fallback. You don't have to use the mic, but for 20 bucks, $24, seriously, smoking deal. Now, in the interest of time, I only brought one of the two headset suggestions out under $30, and this is probably going to be a surprise for a lot of people, but this is the Lenovo H200. I bought this just because it was so cheap, and I liked the design. This is $24, and it has athletic fabric pads. They're deep enough where most people's ears will fit. You have a flip-to-mute microphone. You have volume control on the headset itself. There's a really nice little dial here. It's crazy light, it's comfortable. This is padded all the way around. Yes, that is a metal headband inside for reinforced headband. Honestly, this is a spicier treble The treble's a little bright, but for most FPS games, it's fine. If you're playing on Xbox or PC and you can turn down the treble a little bit, to me, at $24, this is just a smoking deal. I can wear these things for hours, and the microphone is actually really good too. So 24 bucks, this is an easy pick. Now, HyperX has the Cloud Stinger. It retails for $50, the old Cloud Stinger, but at the time of making this video, it's only $20. So typically, HyperX kind of owns the budget segment, in my opinion, but all of these products will seriously get you like 95% there as far as competitiveness goes, even compared to really high-end products. You don't have to spend more than this to still get good, if you will. But these were my picks and suggestions in this price range. All right, now we're in the entry-level wired category, which slots in above budget, which to me is up to $30 and under $100. So this is $30 to $100, my favorite picks if you want to stay wired. So I'm going to start with IEMs real quick. Now these are the Moondrop Lands, which had a retail price of $40. You can get, again, so many IEMs out there are so good. But I like the Moondrop Lands because they're incredibly comfortable. They have a really nice wire. It's 40 bucks, comes with a lot of tips, so you can have one that fits your ear well. And I like these a little bit more than the Truth Ear Red, the Critical X Red edition, which those do sound better. They have deeper bass, so if you want that deep rumble effect, but they're not as comfortable for long listening sessions for me. I said that in my review, whereas the Moondrop Lands, I can play with these all night. Not the best audio product out there for the money, in my opinion, but they are still great for gaming. Very comfortable, and at $40, it's an excellent value. Now moving up into the headsets, you have the HyperX Cloud Stinger 2, and yes, you're going to notice a lot of SteelSeries and HyperX because they kind of own the value category for FPS gaming for me. But the Cloud Stinger 2 is $40. It's a good overall headset. It's basically, to me, it has a little bit better sound than that Lenovo I mentioned earlier. The treble isn't as spicy or bright sounding, but at $40, it's a good balance of comfort, build quality. The microphone is improved, and good enough sound for imaging performance for footstep tracking. So it is still a good option for FPS games. Now, this is kind of one of the older ones, but it's a little bit of a sleeper as long as you're okay with some of the weaknesses. This is the Arctis Prime. And what's cool about this one is it uses the same drivers that the old Arctis Pro did, which was over $200 when it came out. This headset's down to $37 now because it was discontinued essentially. From its $100 original price, this is punching way above its weight for sound quality, performance, and gaming. Excellent value. It still has the suspension head strap, so it's very comfortable to wear. The only downside with the Prime is the microphone is not that sensitive. So if you don't talk loudly, or if you're playing on Xbox, your friends aren't going to hear you as well on the Prime. The microphone's not that great. Now that leads me to the Nova 1, which is an improvement in some areas. It is more comfortable. The microphone is a lot better. It's not necessarily better sounding, but it is tuned a little bit differently. The bass is a little bit more subdued, and the upper treble isn't as sparkly or high or sharp sounding. Still kind of shouty compared to HyperX in my opinion, but overall, $50 versus $37. The biggest advantage here is that you're still getting the comfort that you might be looking for, but the microphone is a noticeable improvement. It's especially helpful, again, if you're playing on Xbox with a controller. Now that leads me to the HyperX Cloud headsets, because there are a lot of confusing options in the Cloud lineup. So this is the Cloud X. It's the Xbox version because I like the monochromatic look of the black and silver. There is the regular Cloud, which is like blue on the yoke instead of silver. That's the PlayStation version, but it still works on Xbox and PC. It's just licensed for PlayStation. Now, the PlayStation version is $35. This one is $50. I just double-checked my pricing sheet here. So $50 versus $37, they are the exact same headset. You only pay more if you want a monochromatic color. Otherwise, save some money, and under $40, you get a smoking good headset for 37 bucks. That's just a steal. So HyperX, the microphone's okay, but the sound quality is definitely good. It's punchy bass, fairly little bit more detailed on the treble region, but very, very good for footstep accuracy. I really like this a lot. Now they have a Cloud 2 version of this, which is $80, and that comes with the USB DAC. So if you're getting this exclusively for PC, I would consider it because most PCs have a pretty terrible headphone jack, and the Cloud 2 will fix that. Now you can also buy your own DACs or headphone amps later, of course, but as an all-in-one unit, the Cloud 2 is still a pretty good value even at $80. Now the Cloud 3, however, is not much more. It's only $2 or $3 more. It's like 83 bucks right now. The Cloud 3 is more comfortable to me than the Cloud 2 or the Cloud X series. The microphone is greatly improved. There's better noise rejection on it, and the DAC is much more simple. So they went with volume control on the headset itself instead of inline. I actually prefer the design of the Cloud 3 more. It's just a matter of preference. But the Cloud 3 is a little more subdued sounding. The bass isn't as punchy, and the treble isn't as sharp. The older Clouds are a little bit more V-shaped. They are both great for FPS games. Some people might want the sparkly high, but that's how they compare. Now, to me, there's not a lot of great wireless options under $100 when it comes to FPS performance. A lot of the wireless headsets that are inexpensive tend to have very muddy bass or poor resolution, which is like your subtle detail. Whenever you step up in a wireless, you have to deal with noise compression and artifacts and what sacrifices they're making to make the headset that cheap and still wireless. So there aren't a lot of great options. However, there are a few. So the Stealth 600 Gen 2, while not perfect, is my favorite purely for FPS under 100, because the Nano Force drivers that they use, or Nano Clear drivers, sorry, I'm thinking Triforce from Razer. The Nano Clear drivers are excellent. They're actually pretty much the same driver that's in the Stealth 700 headset, which I'll talk about later. So these are $90 or $95. Let's double check my notes to make sure. 90 bucks. 24-hour battery life. You can get, and the new version has a USB dongle even for Xbox, so there's no wireless connection issues anymore. The microphone is sensitive, so if you have a noisy room and you don't want people to hear all of your surroundings, the microphone is improved over the older 600, but it does pick up quite a bit of background noise. The only other drawback to the 600 is it has a strong clamp force, so if you're sensitive to that, maybe consider Astro or another option. One nice thing though is it is compatible for Xbox, of course, if you buy the Xbox version, and it has flip to mute, it has some EQ presets, which is nice, and it has game to chat mix that works well on Xbox. Now, obviously on PlayStation, you're not going to have that function, but to me, this is still a great value for the competitive wireless edge. Now, the Astro A20, this is down to 95 bucks. It used to be like 120 or 130. It's older. But the sound quality of the A20 Gen 2 in a lot of cases sounded better than the A50, which a lot of people don't know that. If you hear these things, they sound very clear. They're let down with the lack of swivel, so if the ear cups don't perfectly fit your head, you may or may not like the comfort. These do fit me well, so I actually found them pretty comfortable, but they have a really nice soft pad too, so they're very breathable pads. I do like the A20. It also has game to chat mix if you buy the Xbox version, and Astro actually sells the dongle separately. So if you spend, I think it's at like 120 total, you can buy a second dongle for PlayStation and now have one headset that works wirelessly for all. The microphone is not good on this. It's a poor sounding mic, but it excels in sound quality. It's great for FPS games. So now we step up into mid-level wired, and there's going to be a lot to cover here. This kind of represents the bread and butter of FPS gaming, so I'm breaking it up into categories. First, we're going to start with IEMs, and again, there are so many good IEMs out there, but these are some standouts for me that I personally like. And my test bench, by the way, when I play games, now I'm starting to dabble with the finals, which is cool, but also Call of Duty, of course. I've been playing the Battle Royale Warzone quite a bit. I also play Apex Legends, and I'm trying to test out CS2 and Valorant, because they all have different sound profiles. So these are standouts to me. Now I'm going to start with the SimGot EM6L, which at $104 right now, to me is one of the best possible gaming performance IEMs I've ever played with. They are insane for gaming. Now there have been some recent reviews from others, again, full disclosure, where people have had quality control issues with driver failure. So again, purchase at your own risk, but I do want to say and point out how well these perform. Mine still work great, and I've used these IEMs extensively. It's my most used IEM for gaming, and they've held up just fine. So at 104, that's a steal. Now you have the Truthier Nova, which is new, and this is also like if you want good gaming performance with a lot of deep bass, kind of like the whole Critical Red thing I was mentioning earlier, but these things are absolutely gorgeous. This is the Truthier Nova. They're $150. They just came out. Deep bass, but still have great clarity. So not really punchy. I think they could use a little bit of EQ specifically for gaming, whereas these two are better out of the box for gaming. Now, this is my Unicorn IEM. It is the weirdest little IEM I've used for gaming, but it is an absolute blast. So this is the Basin MT Pros. Now, they used to retail for a little bit higher. I think down to like 162, 165 right now, and you can get them in different colors. These are planar magnetic IEMs. They have the most insane soundstage for a closed IEM. It sounds so vast, and it's great for immersion. They still image well. It sounds spacious. I just get way more engrossed in the game when I play with the Bass and MT Pros. So not for everybody. They're a little bit heavy with metal, but you get this case, and as you saw, there's a bunch of cables and accessories inside. So if you just want something different, this is something to look at. It doesn't sound like a traditional IEM, but for gaming, it's an absolute riot. Now, I almost forgot, Antlion makes the Kimura microphone. I've mentioned this in a few videos, but if you like the idea of gaming with IEMs, but you want a better microphone pickup, like premium sound, but can still chat with your friends, you can buy the Kimura. Now, they also sell, Antlion has IEMs, the Solo and the Duo, which is like $60 to, I think, up to $150 for their IEMs, which comes with the mic and the IEMs. Those are definitely more aggressive and more shouty, so it's more personal preference. I would prefer to get the Kimura and pair it with one of these IEMs purely for gaming. But this is $60. This is the 2-pin variant, which I can use on the EM6L, even though that uses QDC. I can still plug this in. And then they have an MMCX version that will work on the Bass and MT Pros. So you can get the right version. This plugs online. I'll have a link in the description, but that allows you to have a really good microphone to pair with the IEMs in case you want to make your own, mini gaming headset, if you will. Now, moving into headphones under $200, that's good for FPS gaming and other things. These two came to mind immediately. You have the Sennheiser HD560S. Unbelievable headphone for gaming. One of the best bang for your buck headphones for FPS games out there because they have a good sound stage. They are open back, so you do hear your surroundings. If you need noise isolation, neither of these are going to do that, but open backs traditionally give you better performance for FPS games if you don't need the noise isolation. Right now, this retails for $230. Do not buy it for $230. It always goes on sale. I've seen them down to like $130 to $150 before. But I would say under $160, if you just want a really good headphone that's going to last a long time, consider the HD560S. There's no microphone version, but you can obviously add your own or go through other means. Like they have the Antlion Mod Mic, which I mounted on my Beyerdynamic Tiger, but they're just headphones only. The Tiger is the same idea. Now, purely on sound quality, I think the HD560S has an edge. It stages a little bit better. But I can wear these forever. They are so comfortable with the velour pads. They don't have full rotation, but they're built like tanks, and I like that I can basically put this on and off with one hand, typically. It kind of depends. If your hands are full, don't wear the cord like I did. But I absolutely love these for gaming. This is not your typical Beyerdynamic tune, so they have like the history of being known for really sharp treble, like ear-piercing treble on some of the other models. The Tiger doesn't have that. They actually have acoustic fleece to tone it down, and I can just play on these forever. So these are both amazing picks. The Harmonic Dyne Athena is under $200, and that's a good other option if you want comfort as well, but I think they're outclassed by these. Now, moving into wired headsets in the mid-tier category, yes, there's a lot here, but bear with me, I have a reason for this. So you have the Drop PC38X, 170 to 180, depending on where you buy it and timing. The yellow version is the original, and the black version was like an updated one. They're pretty much the same thing. I just prefer the traditional one because this one came with the 2 different ear pads, which I liked. It has a volume control. It has flip to mute. The microphone's excellent. This is very, very similar to the HD560S I just showed you. They are so close in audio performance, but this is less money and it has a mic. So if you can get away with using a microphone and having that, you don't mind seeing it, I think the PC38X is a better value. Now the H6 Pro, it's discontinued because EPOS is basically out of business on the gaming side. The gaming division shut down, but you can still buy these. This is very comparable performance to the Drop. I only brought these out because the clamp force isn't as strong, and if comfort is your thing, these are 180, but with the Dakoni jersey pads, which I really like on these, it brings it over 200, but I can wear these forever. You have a volume control, you have a removable mic. Yes, it's discontinued, so you're not going to get support down the road, but these things are built like tanks. They have very good reputation for durability. That's a great pick. Both of these are great for gaming. Now, they're both open back. I should note, get the open acoustic version of the H6 Pro. Do not get the closed back because there's way too much bass. You can use it for FPS gaming, but this one is so much better for shooters. So now you have very different stuff to consider. So you have the SteelSeries Nova Pro wired, which is under $200 if you get the PC version or PlayStation version, and it goes just over $200 for the Xbox version because, again, Microsoft forcing them to pay extra licensing. This is a newer entry. It's actually very comfortable for me to wear. I love these pads. They're crazy supple. Retractable mic. The big kicker with these is how smart this DAC is. You have the volume control here, and then you can press it to switch to chat. Tap to mute. You can do custom EQ. This can connect to 2 platforms at once. So if you buy the Xbox version, you can connect to your Xbox. And then they have the other USB port connected to your PlayStation or PC plus PlayStation, things like that. Line in and line out for streaming. And of course, you can use Sonar. So this gives you game to chat on PC. It's not as good as these purely on sound quality, but when you factor in the custom EQ and all the tuning options, it's still worth considering. Now, this is a closed back, so if you needed noise isolation so you don't hear your surroundings, then you would want to consider this over those. I like the Nova Pro wired more than the EPOS H6 Pro closed for FPS. This just does a better job, and then you have all the other features. Microphone's not as good as these, but it's passable. People can still hear you. Again, the focus is FPS, and they kick butt in that regard. Now, if you just want an affordable closeback that's good for FPS, the Xtrfy H1 is one of those other hidden gems, I guess. It's $130, and it comes with 2 different microphones for different sound quality pickups. One has better noise rejection. The other one is more sensitive in what you traditionally use at home. Comes with the extension cables. If you want to run a long cable to your PC, it comes with a USB DAC. And for a closeback, it's probably my favorite performer for the money for FPS gaming under 200 period. So at 130, I think it's a great value. It's also very comfortable. It feels kind of like what the HyperX Clouds do, but with better ear pads, like much better ear pads, and they also have a better headband. So it's a more comfortable version of the Cloud while also sounding better. Definitely a good pick at 130. Now, this one almost didn't make the cut at all, but I want to bring up the Astro A40s because they have a couple things going for them. If you use the stock pads, they're actually really comfortable, and they're semi-open back, so they don't have the noise isolation of a closed back, but don't always have the benefits of the open back either. Purely on sound quality, they're actually pretty good for FPS. You can still track things well, and this is probably the best headset Astro's ever made for FPS gaming. It's built well, and it sounds good, and you have this, even though it's old, like this still uses micro USB because Logitech and Astro have decided to not release new stuff that's good for a long time now. But I like the game to chat mix for console players, for Xbox, and then this works well on the Windows side. I don't think it's as good as the Nova Pro. So even though this is more money, I would still take the Nova Pro. The only reason why you would want this is if you want the option to have the velour pads, or you like the idea of the big physical dials. Otherwise, the Pro is a better pick. All right, so I decided to put mid to high-end wireless in one category in the interest of time, and to also do a better comparison between them because there's some similarities here. The SteelSeries Nova 7 and Nova 7X represents to me the best overall value of any wireless headset I've ever used. So I'm going to start with that. It's $120 right now for the PC version and $160 for the Xbox version. It has every feature that gamers have asked for. Onboard EQ that you can save to the headset, which means PlayStation users can benefit from it. Simultaneous Bluetooth, game to chat mix on Xbox, USB-C rapid charging, you name it. I mean, it even has an aux input if you want to just use an analog connection, which the dongle actually works wirelessly on the Nintendo Switch as well. But if you don't have the ability to use that dongle on anything, even though the 7X version works on everything, you can still use aux as a fallback. It has extendable yokes, the suspension strap, with the Wicked Cushion freeze pad, which opens up the opening because the stock pad's a little smaller. The microphone isn't as good, but for 120 to 160, to be as good as it is everywhere else on the feature set and still be excellent for gaming and FPS performance, to me, this is just a home run. It's a very safe pick, a little bit shouty in the 2 to 3 kilohertz region. So if you're sensitive to that, that's where these guys will come in later. But the value of the Nova 7 is just absolutely insane. Then you have the Stealth 700 Gen 2 Max, which used to be like $200. Now it's selling for about $160. The Xbox version works on PC and PlayStation because the dongle has a switch for USB mode. The clamp is strong, okay? This thing really grabs your head, but these ear pads are incredibly soft. They're like pillows. So it's squeezing you with a pillow. Microphone's good. It does have background noise pickup, but you can turn some of that off with the mobile app. You can control this through a Bluetooth app to do some fine tuning for bass, vocals, and treble. That's how they kind of break it down. Overall, the reason why you would consider this over the Nova is if you want the bass to be a little bit more punchy. It's a more impactful bass. It's a little bit more sharp in the 8 kilohertz region and up, so that really high sound is more forward on this. But it's also excellent for footstep tracking. It's not as shouty, but again, they just have different hotspots. It really just comes down to preference, I guess, if you like certain features or design choices, but they're both great. Now, both of these headsets have a respectable like 35 to 45 hours of battery life depending on use, but the Cloud 3 Wireless has 120 hours of battery life. To me, the microphone on this is excellent. I love the comfort. The clamp force isn't too bad. This is like if the idea of having a slightly shouty or too sharp of a sound or too much bass is not appealing to you, the Cloud 3 Wireless is tuned really well to work for movies, music, and FPS, but it doesn't do it with like in-your-face sharpness or detail. It does image well. It just is a much more laid-back presentation. I brought this up because if you're sensitive to sharp, sparkly sounds and you wince when it's turned up, like gunshots bother you, then this is still going to give you a pretty good competitive edge for FPS while also not blasting you with treble as much as some of the others may do. So I really like this one a lot. Now, the Alpha Wireless is here just so I can answer what could be a concern in the pricing scheme when you go shopping. Because this used to be a $200 headset or even more, 300 hour battery life, and it's about the same exact price, like 170-ish. This thing sounds terrible in comparison to the Cloud 3. It was marketed as a higher end product, and I'm not holding back here. This is one of the worst sounding wireless headsets I've ever used under 200. I just don't like it. It is like super bloated bass, way into the mids, like more than a lot of Razer headsets I've used. Then it's like recessed, so you're missing detail, but the upper treble is so sharp it hurts. So please, if you crank treble to 10, then yes, you may like this. If you're losing upper frequency sensitivity, that's the only reason to get this. Otherwise, the Cloud 3 is a much better choice at the same price range now. Now that brings me to my high-end wireless stuff, which really comes down to two models for me. You have the Arctis Nova Pro and the Turtle Beach Stealth Pro. So yeah, Pro is definitely helping here. I think this one even has it. Yeah, Pro X2 Logitech. I'll talk about that one in a minute. I love both of these for different reasons. So some people will have a different preference on sound quality, but the Stealth Pro to me has had the best wireless best wireless headset when it comes to performance for FPS games. So if you're tracking footsteps, this has done it better than any wireless headset I've ever heard. It seems very natural. It's very easy to track enemies. And overall, it's a really solid option. The features may not seem as robust as this, but a lot of it is built into the headset and the app. Now, when I first got this and reviewed it, everything worked great for me. I had a pre-launch, which was buggy. Then they released the final update, and it worked a lot better. But a couple features were missing. They since added those features, like game to chat mix on PC now, which is great. But the software's been a little buggy. So if you look at the reviews and some of them are poor, just keep in mind some of that may be a byproduct of a very poor software support schedule. Otherwise, when it's working, it works absolutely fantastic. Now, the Nova Pro has its own little gremlins. It's actually been rock solid on software and features. You know, it's always worked the way it should. But the stock ear pads are thin, and there's an active noise cancellation bump in the middle. I did feel that from day one hitting my ear, but it wasn't so bad. However, after wearing this for several months, the pads start to collapse. Then it became uncomfortable. So even though this is like $310 to $350, depending on which version, again, the Xbox version is more money, you really want to consider the Wicked Cushion Freeze pads. I have a whole video on this to do a dedicated EQ to fix the sound quality, because anytime you change a pad, you affect the sound. But to me, the comfort is kind of a no-go unless you upgrade the pad. It is a massive difference in comfort, and then that's where this headset really shines. That's starting to approach $400 when you factor all of that in if you got the Xbox version, so keep that in mind. Both of these have swappable ear pads. They are multi-platform. This works on all three platforms if you buy the Xbox version. The Xbox version of the Nova Pro works on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So these represent the cream of the crop. Now, again, kind of like what the HyperX Cloud 3 did for the Nova 7 and the Stealth 700s for having a more relaxed sound, that's where the Logitech G Pro X2 wireless comes in. It's $250, and to me, it's not as good of a value as these, but it images well, and it does so without being too forward in your details. So some people might have difficulty hearing certain frequencies with the G Pro, but it's not fatiguing to listen to. It's very relaxing sound profile. So again, if you like the darker sound and you don't want anything too in your face, consider the G Pro as an alternative. The mic isn't as good, and ultimately it is outclassed by these though, so it's just a matter if it's worth it to you or not. So now we're in the high-end wired category. This represents the cream of the crop and basically the absolute best you can get on a wire when it comes to FPS games for different reasons. Now, when you get to this level and there's no price limit, things like the HiFiMan Aria Stealth, which is over $1,000, naturally that's going to sound great. However, diminishing returns kick in very quickly. So what I like about these, one, the VZR Model 1, one of my favorite FPS headsets I've ever used because it's built so well. This will last forever. It has real carbon fiber, spring steel headband. They've made improvements since it first came out. This is bassy. There's definitely elevated bass, so if you want a strong explosion effect, these are going to deliver that. Passive noise isolation is great, so you don't hear a lot of background noise, but they have the best like spatial audio delivery I've heard on any closed back headset, period. It's insane what these do, and that makes a huge difference for imaging. So I love these things. They're $350. If you see the reviews online, most people would agree. Now, little secret, this hasn't been announced yet, but VZR is doing a special on Black Friday for open boxes. So like their factory refurbished line is going to be $250 for these, and it's VZR themselves certifying it as a refurb. I have no clue how many they're going to have. I just got told, because I reach out to these vendors sometimes to kind of get updates, that that's happening. It's one day only. If you want to wait and gamble and get them at $250, that's an insane deal, but even at $350, it's still an excellent headset. Now you have Ace Zone. Ace Zone has the Aspire, which is like $330 to $360, and it has the best active noise cancellation I've ever heard on a sub $400 headphone. It basically blocks out all of your fan noise from your computer. It reduces your keystrokes noise from your keyboard while you're typing. But the microphone also has good noise rejection. So if you're concerned about playing in a noisy environment, these look more flimsy, obviously. It's creaky plastic. Everything's kind of thinner and lighter, but it is still very comfortable to wear. And they use DSP, or digital signal processing, to improve the sound performance for FPS gaming. Now, this benefits mostly on PlayStation 5 and on PC primarily, but it does work on Xbox because you can use the aux input and plug into your controller. So I like these. This is purely analog, so you want to plug it into something with a headphone jack, but whatever you feed it, it's just going to take that and run with it. Then you have the Arise, which is $800. So overkill for home gaming. It does perform better than the Aspire for imaging, so it's not like you're just paying for sound isolation. You get these magnetic removable cups. These things are insane. But the clamp force is bonkers. This is like wearing protective headgear to go to a shooting range, or aviation style headphones, for example. They block out, I can't hear anything else going on right now. It gets rid of all of it, and that's before I even turn it on. Then they have this like dual algorithm system to get rid of background noise rejection. You'll never hear your computer again when you wear these, but you have to stomach the price and the insane clamp force. I can't wear these as long as any of the others here. Now, just like the Aspire, this is obviously using digital signal processing to enhance the sound. They basically use a chip to improve noise floor and make footsteps stand out louder than they are. That's why they work as well as they do. So it's a solid option. Now, if you go into audiophile stuff, this surprised me because frequency response wise, you wouldn't think this would be as good for FPS gaming, but the new MM100 from Odyssey is $400. It's an open back. The sound quality is phenomenal for music. And what I found with my review, if you watch this review, this microphone's $20 or under 20. It's from V-Moda, the Boom Pro. Turns it into an insane gaming headset. So if you want an open back gaming headset, with microphone, that also works well for music, and you want a planar magnetic driver because of that bass speed that you're looking for, the deepness of the bass, this is a great pick. Again, All of these are going to be ideal for gaming. It's just a matter of if you want open back, purely analog, no chips or software to worry about, or if you want some computer enhancements, if you will, to the sound quality. Now, a few runner-ups. I know it was a long list, but I want to highlight some of these because one, I forgot to mention this earlier, and this was on my to-do list. So the Recon 500, under $100, wired headset. It's passive, so you can plug it into anything with a headphone jack. It's just very comfortable for an inexpensive headset. The others aren't bad. In fact, I really like the way the SteelSeries headsets feel on my head for a budget headset. But these are just a nice durable, if you want a little bit more warmth in your bass. These are a good option. It's just outclassed by the others. Only get that if you have a larger head or if you want something that's kind of like a thicker, heavier sound. Corsair Virtuoso Pro, under $200. Without EQ, not my favorite open back, under $200. But if you can do custom EQ, they actually work really well for gaming. The driver matching is phenomenal on these, and it's an alternative to the other open backs I mentioned earlier. The Corsair HS80 Max. Flip to mute mic out of the box. I don't like the sound. However, they did improve driver matching on the Max versus the old HS80. So it is a little bit better for FPS. It's very comfortable, but I strongly recommend EQ, which you can't save to the headset. This is only a viable option to consider in the mid-tier wireless range if you're only playing on PC. It has Bluetooth, it has good battery life, but the Bluetooth is not simultaneous, and you can't even use this on Xbox. Last one is the Beyerdynamic MMX 200 wireless, which I've been using a lot for work. They kind of like the Logitech G Pro X2 wireless. They have a more smooth sound. They're not like super in your face, but they just have a natural tendency to have good imaging performance. It's nothing extreme, and it didn't make the cut purely because it's missing so many features at $250 that a lot of the sub $200 stuff does and performs better at the same time. All right, so all the analog stuff I talked about earlier can plug directly into a controller, obviously, or your computer if it has a headphone jack, but some of these DACs will give you better performance or features if you need it. So if you're a PlayStation player, my favorite pick is the Creative G6. It's older now, it still uses micro USB, but the sound quality is excellent. It has onboard EQ, so you can customize the sound, really good volume output, and separate mic input if your headset has that feature. So to me on PS5, it's great. Now, you can also use the Creative GC7. This works on PC as well, but the GC7 from Creative to me is my favorite for Windows because, or I should just say PC. And you have a volume wheel, then a separate game to chat wheel. So that helps a lot. It presents two audio devices, two windows. It's just so easy to use. You have a line out to connect to speakers if they're amplified speakers. Tap to mute if you have an analog mic like I was showing you earlier. You can customize the outputs here. So again, these are just both over $100, but just a little bit over. But their performance and feature set is excellent. Now, on console, Xbox people have less high-end options, but you do have the Earforce audio controller from Turtle Beach. It's $40. Game to chat mix, microphone side tone, mic mute. There's superhuman hearing, which I'm not a huge fan of on this. It doesn't work well. But if you want like really quick adjustment on the go, I use this thing all the time, even on like the EPOS H6 Pro or my Model 1 from VZR Audio. I use this just for the speed of plugging into my controller. Now, you have the Astro Mixamp TR, which is $130, sold separately. I only like this because of the controls, but at $130, if you are okay with not having a dedicated game to chat wheel on Xbox, you can get the Game DAC Gen 2 from SteelSeries. This is $130, also a good option for Windows, but I like the Creative unit more. So this guy has dual platform support. You can get the Xbox or PC version, line in and out that I mentioned earlier, but it has a line out on the side for your headset or head foam, and it works on Xbox. So to me, this is a better sounding DAC between this and the Astro unit, so I would prefer this. Now, if you don't care for all the custom features like EQ, game to chat mix, you just want really good sound, PlayStation can benefit from something called the Shit Hell 2, and this works on Windows, of course. Now, I'm holding 2 because I wanted to use this video to announce something. They updated the Shit Hell 2 to the Hell Plus now. This is the Plus. They look identical, so make sure if you're shopping for secondhand that you know which one's which. But the new version is the same price. They basically just built it like a tank. Everything's been upgraded to be more durable, while also keeping the same price and performance. It still sounds excellent. They actually improved the audio performance slightly from a noise floor standpoint, but this is an amazing unit and it gets crazy loud. So even if you have like $1,000 headphones, this thing's gonna power it no problem. All right, so that wraps up that long rapid fire video. I know it was a lot of stuff to cover, but I hope this helped give you some ideas going into the holiday season. You don't have to buy anything I just said to still be good at FPS games and enjoy them, but these are ones that have stood out to me in the past at just being great in each price range for the money, performance, you name it. So I hope you found the video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I'd love to see you at the next one. And with that being said, I'll see you next time. Bye.